Okay, so I'm going to really quickly go over the answer, or I should say my answer. All right, so here's comparing three numbers, looking for the biggest one using Cout and Cin. So I have input A, B, and C that I use as numbers. I'm calling Cin. These are called the extraction and insertion operators. So you insert something into an output stream, and you extract something from an input stream. That's a good way to remember how the operators work. So once I have my input, here's my logic. I chose to use my double ampersands for compound statements. You could also use nested if statements. The only thing that looks kind of weird is there's no braces on my if and else, and there's a rule for that. If your statement executes, if it's only one line, your entire statement, then you don't need to have braces. That's what I'm doing here. You can also have braces. It's generally better programming practice to have braces. I just wanted to show that off that you can do that. So did you guys have any questions about how to set up the if else kind of thing? A little bit confused, unsure, running into random errors still? Well, we all finally passed that. Yes. Binary?
No.
No? Just file not found?
Yeah, like program file does not exist.
Could you scroll the message over so I can just read more of it? It's like there'll be right next to plugin, a little bit to the left of it, there'll be a, just as a random shot in the dark, try to build all real quick and see. I just want to see what it'll, because this is an error. But just go for it. Now, run it and see what happens. Oh, no. Let's fix the error. First, define here. Make sure. One thing you want to do as well. Make sure you do the write code in the main for now. Main.cpp, the actual file itself. That may be part of it. But yes.
So when I run it, it works, but like the text field is always like right next to where it is. Like when it's like right there. When I so like if I end it, yeah.
Oh, it just jumps down.
Yeah, it's just like right there. Where I see out.
I mean, and it jumps down whenever you type.
Yeah.
I would say that might be an Eclipse bug more than anything else for emulating a console. Mine replicates anything you type into the console twice. I mean, I keep meaning to turn that off. I should turn that off. I'll do. Yeah, that's like a Eclipse bug. If every time it types over there, like that's where it means to be, it's just probably a little bit problematic. Oh, let me clean this up really quick as well as. So again, we're like ever so slightly still ahead of where we need to be, which is good. This is going to be, I guess, sorry, I'm still getting the end of where I want to be. What are you guys interests on maybe a small programming project? You'd have like 2-ish weeks. It'd be fairly easy. I'd be answering questions at the start of class. It would kind of replace homework, but it would take up. You'd use multiple things you've already used before. Would you like that like instead of homework, on top of homework? Like homework's usually generally going to be like one problem. Like is that small programming project? Like maybe 100 lines of code total. It won't be that painful here, but 100 lines of code maybe every 2 weeks ish. Sound good? Okay. I have one in the works already for another class, so I will adjust it to make it better. Have I shown off the double plus sign and double minus sign? No? Okay. We'll do that really quick. Okay, so this is kind of a one-off kind of thing. So when we talk, when we do plus and minus, we have, where'd my mouse go? So when we do, like, we have two numbers, like you have a test value that's 5, and then we have some other value, and it's maybe 10. Whoops. And then we want to add the two. We would say test equals test plus x for an assignment. So there's a lot of repeated typing here. I type test and then test plus as well. And we kind of know that what we want to do is we want to add one over the next. So we have a shortcut for that. What we do is we say test plus equals x. Okay? So these are equivalent. Okay? This is just for shorthand. This is perfectly still fine. If you kind of forget what this is, surefire way to get it right is that. This also works for minus, modulus, divide. A lot of operators can do this. Yes.
So is it just adding x and s?
Yeah, and then stores it back in test.
Oh.
So test equals test plus x means add x to test and put it back in test. This does the same exact thing, a little bit shorter. So this is, again, you can do this with plus, minus, divide, multiply, modulus. They're all good. Okay. This is a really quick kind of like shorthand. You don't even have to use it. It's generally preferred. Saves typing. But with that, we're not going to do that. You don't need to know that. So we're good on if and else. So we're going to do loops now. So a loop is very useful if you want to go over the same thing multiple times. Okay? So when we talk about loops, there's two important types of loops. There's a third one that we're not going to cover because it's less useful and you can avoid using it entirely. So a loop. So let's say we have. Oh, I haven't taught arrays. So let's do a simple counting one. So I'm gonna delete this code. So let's say I have I'll have some number. And I want it to count down every number till it gets to 0. Okay? So it's kind of hard to do this in a single statement because this number could be anything. It could be like 50. Then I have to print out 49 numbers. If I wanted just 10, it would have to print out the 9 number. There's 9 up to 1. So we use loops to do this, and the way we use loops, we have what's called a while loop. Is our most basic loop. So it uses the keyword while right here. And then the structure is it has the braces just like an if statement. It actually is identical to an if statement in that it has the keyword while and a expression is looking that evaluates a true or false. Okay? So let's say while size is greater than 0, then I need to do something that happens. So what will happen is while the code in between the braces will run continuously until the statement at the top, that expression, evaluates to false. Okay? So what I'm going to want it to see out size, inline, or I'll just have it do size and then a comma. So there's one thing with the code right now that we got so far. We currently have while size is greater than 0, print out size and a comma and a space. When we run, so every time we'll run through the code, we're going to check if size is greater than 0, which because size is never changing, all we do is print it out every time. This will run forever, and it's called an infinite loop. So if you want to see this run, you can watch the fairly amusing. You can look down here at the terminal. It's going to shoot out a bunch of numbers forever in rapid lightning speed. When it builds, it's good to go. It just prints out 10s forever. How great. And then it's probably going to crash my computer.
So why'd you put call like below the loop?
I'll get to that. Sorry. Let me... There we go. So basically, what I wanted to happen was I wanted to print out the numbers, like kind of like a starting countdown: 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So I want to print out all the numbers down to 1 and then say go. So what happened was that it continually looked for. It checked if size was greater than 0, but it never changed. So we need to have some way to change size. So I'm gonna put this line right here. This is another operator. This is called the decrement operator. This is another one of the shorthand operators. Here's what its equivalent is. This is the code it runs. Okay. So there's a plus plus and minus minus. There's not a times times. Just those two. Okay. We use this for moving things by 1. Okay. Because that's a common thing we want to do. Look at all the integer values. So 7, 8, 9, 10, or like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So currently now what's going to happen in the loop each time is I'm going to print out the number, a comma, and then I'm going to reduce the number by 1. Okay? Where did my cursor go? There it is. Okay? So now when I do this, I'm going to get a nice running program. Yes. Oh, I don't have a walkie-talkie.
That's okay, I'm bored.
Okay.
I'll just be here.
Okay. So now that we have now that each time through the loop, so we're going to talk about what it actually goes, what happens with the code each time, kind of unwind the loop. So we start with our size is greater than 10, and then we have to evaluate the statement. We say is 10 greater than 0. That's a true statement, so we execute what's in the braces. Okay, so then we print out the number with a comma and a space. So we print out 10, comma, and space. Now we decrement size from 10 to 9, and then we end at the end of the braces, so we jump back up to yes.
Is there a way to like make it infinite for any integer value?
Yeah, you don't include anything that changes the value, it'll run forever. So if I didn't have this line, it'll run forever.
What if you put like C in for size? Then like if when the user puts 0, then the program stops itself?
Yeah. Yes.
I'm kind of confused about line 10. I don't get what's happening.
So I'm printing out whatever integer size is, a comma, and then a space. It's just to make this kind of readable, basically. The way the code actually will run, it'll tack this on the size, whatever size is, and then it will put this all in the stream, send it out to your console. Is that okay? So I'm going to make the number 3 so I can run through the entire setup code really quick. just to make it a little bit faster. And so we start with size 3. We say 3 is 3. We check it. 3 is greater than 0. True statement. Jump in the braces. Print out size and then a comma and a space. Decrement size from 3 to 2. Reach the end of the brace. Jump back up and check the statement again. If now we've gone from 3 to 2, so is 2 greater than 0? 2 is greater than 0. It's a true statement. So we we continue in the braces. We print out size, which is 2, comma and a space. We decrement size from 2 to 1. If 1 is greater than 0, so we print out 1, comma and a space. We decrement size from 1 to 0. And now we check the size again. Is 0 greater than 0? That's not true. 0 is equal to 0. So that's a false statement. We jump out and can't read it, but it says it prints go. It prints go at the end. Okay? Is there any questions about how that loop worked? Or any hypotheticals also are fine questions. Any lack of yes.
The question is like off topic, or like not exactly that, but how do you make a file inside, like a body file inside of the file? Like I don't know how to phrase it, but like, is there a way to make another file inside the same file?
File or file and folder?
Yeah, file and folder.
Yes. You want to copy it or make a new one?
Make a new one because it's not letting me like add code to the same program. So like I have this, which is the homework, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to add it though, and we have right
you don't have. You can either make a new file and type more code in it. You can also save it to like a text file. You can open a new project, each class, which sounds a little odd. I wouldn't do that. You can also comment. I'll show commenting as well. So there's code that you type in. It's great. And what if you want to keep it for later? You might want it. Okay. So there's 2 types of comments. This is actually the best way to not run your code. So let's say I have a single line, this int size. I don't want it anymore, but I want to keep the code. So what you can do is you can add 2 forward slashes. Okay? Mine adds it on, I have a little button that does it for me, but it adds it right here. There's 2 slashes. When you see these slashes, the 2 slashes in a row, anything past it will not run on that line only. Okay? So for example, I can type code right here, and that'll work, but the moment it hits the slashes, any code past it to the right of it will not run. So then, but that's kind of inconvenient to type the slashes, for every single line. What if your project's massive? So what you can do is you can do this. You hit the slash, then you hit a star, and it'll look like it comments everything. Then you scroll down to the bottom below it, put a star or put a slash and a star. Star slash star, my bad. Come back. Yeah, no, I was right. It was star slash. So you do star slash. Technically missing a brace here, but okay. So if you want to do a block comment, that's what this is called. It's slash star and then star slash. And then you could do this across multiple lines. And anything contained between the first slash star and then the star slash will be commented out and won't run. So if you have code and then a comment and then more code, it'll skip the comment. Okay? It's called a preprocessor directive to ignore it. Okay, so you can do that. That's an option. Again, opening another file is also fine as well. So did you get that working? You good? Comment?
I'm still trying to.
Okay. Okay, you can block comment it, or if you're just feeling fast, you can put it in a text file and just save it somewhere. I mean, really, if you got the code to work, I really don't need to see it if you know it works. obviously you can also email it to me as well. That would also be an option. But I'll get to that obviously later. So the while loop is great, but there's another programming language came out later that has this other one. So there's a lot of times with while loops, we want to do something like we just did. We got some numbers, we want to go through them in order. Each number in order. And what we do for that, we invented a new loop that does exactly all of that. It kind of makes the while loop a little bit shorter, and it also gives it a little bit more power. And it's called a for loop. So a for loop has a little bit more complex construction, but it takes a couple lines all at once and puts it into one line. So it's got the same start as a while loop. It starts with a for. You're gonna have some code that happens between the parentheses, and some code that's gonna happen repeatedly between braces. And that's where it gets different. So for this, I'm gonna create a variable called, the first line, it's called a variable creation line. It's an actual line of code that executes at the start. What you use this first part for is creating your counter. Okay? So for example, we use size as both our counter as well as what we want to print it out. Okay? So we can say I is equal to 0. The next part is from our while loop, an expression, something that evaluates the true or false. It's what we're going to check each time through the loop. Let's say I is less than 10. And then the last part is what we call an increment. This part of this will execute at the very end, but before the statement is checked again. Okay? So I'm going to use I++. Okay? And I'm going to see out I, and I'm going to do the same kind of thing. This is going to be counting up. Okay? So when we're looking at the for loop, I'm going to run through it really quick, what the code looks like. I'm going to change it over to 3 actually to make it faster.
What's the middle thing called? I less than 10?
That is called an expression. And you evaluate an expression for either a true or false.
What's the last thing called?
An increment. You don't have to increment it. It's usually changing your counter is what you do normally. We call it an increment though.
But can you leave it out?
You can, but then your code will run forever. Unless you change I somewhere in here as well. So to run through the code, yes.
So I++ would increase it by 1.
Yes.
What if you wanted to increase it by 2 or?
You could put that here too. I plus equals 2 or I equals I plus 2. Fine as well. I times 57 divided by the square root of 43. Again, find things you can do each time. So I'm going to run through what this looks like, and then I'm going to expand, if I have the space for it. I'm going to type a while loop equivalent next to it, and then I'm going to show you kind of where all the lines of code fit from the while loop into the for loop. So first we have our int I equals 0. So this line happens before the loop even starts. We create some variable called I, and we assign the value 0. Now that we've created it, we check against our statement. Is I less than 3? And we just created it and it was 0. So it's 0 is less than 3, true statement. So we go in here and we print out I and a comma and a space. So we printed out 0. Now we increment I, or we do what was over here. Then we check the expression again. And we say, since it went from 0, it's now 1. We say, is 1 less than 3? 1 is still less than 3. Print out I, print out a comma, print out a space. Increment I again. From I goes from 1 to 2. 2 is less than 3. Print out 2, comma, and a space. Increment I from 2 to 3 is 3 less than 3. No, 3 is equal to 3. False statement. Finish. Exit out of the loop. Okay. So I'm gonna type up a while loop, and I want you guys to just kind of look at it, look at the difference. This is going to be identical code. Okay. So here's here's identical while and for loops. Okay. They do the exact same thing. So I'm going to point out what happens where, because this is exactly what a for loop will do, or a while loop that looks the same way. So we have the int I equals 0, this kind of starting line. You could imagine taking that out, putting it right here. We have our statement that we're checking, and here's right here. And we have our I++ where we change it. We just usually leave that as the last line of the loop when we change j. Okay? So is there any questions about like the difference between the two? How they differ? These similar construction kind of looks the same. So we're gonna do a couple for it, yes.
Wait, so would it be better for this case to use a for loop or a while loop?
The golden question. You can choose whichever one you want. It doesn't usually matter. There are some times where for loops are better and sometimes where while loops are better. It's very dependent on where you are, what you're writing code for. In general, for loops are a little bit cleaner. They use less lines of code. As you can see, it all fits right here in 4 lines of code. Just take 6. I'm right. 6 lines of code versus 4. So it's a little bit more compact. So it's kind of your personal preference. I'm a big for loop person mainly. I do use while loops when I have to though. I'm not like, you can't use a while loop ever. So, but yeah, so we're going to do a couple of like really quick writing some code with for loops and while loops. So we're going to do a couple of like printing stuff out. I'm going to leave this up here for you guys before on this first one. So we're going to do the first one with a while loop. I'm going to say create some number and then print out that number in stars. So if you give it a number 10, print out 10 stars, 10 asterisks.
Oh.
If you give it 382, print out 382 asterisks. Okay?
So like the
Like
percentages in input?
No, if you want, that's your choice. This is mainly focusing on learning the loop more than input. So, so when I say 10 stars, I mean star, 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 star. So not the number 10 and then stars. Okay? Print out that many stars using a while loop. Okay? I'll give it just a moment. 30? Yes. Okay. Oh, yeah. Do you have any questions? Have you guys seen Deadpool 2? Unrelated? No. Okay.
Heard the soundtrack though.
People close, kind of. Got it working. Printing out some number of stars that you put in that you can just kind of you can put as a variable. That's fine. You don't have to take console input for this. That's perfectly okay. Are we close? Kind of. Not.
Wait, can you show me how to add a file into the folder?
Yes. If you want to add a file.
Because like I tried, like I added a bunch of stuff, but then when I organized it, I don't know where I went, but earlier I just changed one of the codes we had earlier, and then it would still have this code.
Oh yeah, so it's looking for a main.cpp. You know, if you want to fully close out of a project, you can open a whole new project.
But that's, you have to, okay.
Adding a file would be, you probably want to move your file, you probably want to name your, okay, so wait, there's two options. But you always want to write code in main.cpp. So you could make a new file and then put your code somewhere else. And then keep writing code in your main. Like you could cut code out and put it somewhere else. That's one option. The other option is you could start a whole new project each time.
Oh, okay.
Which to me would take up a lot of space on your hard drive. So I probably wouldn't recommend it.
Can you slow down?
I got my answer though.
Oh,
Is your question about how to set the while loop?
yeah.
You have the keyword while, and you have your parentheses. You put some statement that evaluates to true or false in there. Opening brace and closing brace.
Oh, that's right.
And we'll write more code. It's not so fun to talk about code all the time. It's more fun to write it.
Gives me this error saying, while does not guard, something.
Where now? Okay, I'll explain more in versus error as well. Run your code though. You should be good to run it though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then try changing the number as well. Once you get to print, maybe if you pick some number, I just started with 5 for mine. Try printing out like 3 as well, and 1. Make sure that it works for a couple different numbers. Make sure it doesn't just print out 5. You should be good, right?
Yeah.
Running it, working.
Yeah, it works.
Okay, cool. Everyone else kind of there, close, unsure, confused, don't know how to use a while loop, just confused. What part?
I'm not sure what to put inside the parentheses after the while.
So you're looking for something that you give it some number, you start with some number, you want it to print out that many stars. So if I give you 5, you want to print out 5 stars. So you want to think, I need it to go through 5 times. That expression needs to be true 5 times in a row, and then not true anymore. And I give you the number 5 already, and then I want it to be true 5 times and then false once after that. Just some thinking about that. I'm gonna also speaking of which, I should fix this as well.
Oh, the error went away like after I ran it.
Yeah. It said there's a warning.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll explain that. Yay. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna really quickly go over mine. super fast with the while loop. If you guys are still writing, I'll stay in front of it awkwardly. But okay, I may actually, because I kind of want to do a couple of these. So here's my code for printing out the stars, number of stars that I put in. So I've got some integer value. My expression that I'm choosing is, well, j is greater than 0. Okay? So, and then I'm subtracting 1 each time. So if I were to talk about how this works, I start with 5. I check if 5 is greater than 0, which it is. Print out a star, subtract 1 from j. Now j is 4, j is greater than 0. Print out a star, subtract 1. J is now 3. Check if 3 is greater than 0. It is. Print out a star, subtract 1. 2 is greater than 0. Print out a star, subtract 1. 1 is greater than 0. Print out a star, subtract 1. Then 0 is equal to 0, so it exits. And that's how I get 5 stars. Alright. What should I put in the while loop is the golden question for the figuring out what to do with loops. So we're going to do one more, this time with you guys want to do while loop again then?
Yeah.
Kind of? Okay. We'll do, I got a couple. So this time we're going to do another while loop, so you can kind of leave what's up there. I'm going to get, let's say, we'll start with some number like 2 or 3. Sorry, you can pick a number. Let's say while the number is less than 1,000, double it each time and print it out. Okay? So give it some small number like 2 or 3. While the number is less than 1,000, double it. And obviously print it out, then double it, I should say. Okay? So if I input 2, it'd be 2 less than 1,000. Print out 2, double it. 4 is less than 1,000, double it. 8 less than 1,000, double it. 16, okay?
This Saturday is Python workshop right here in room K, right?
I don't know what room, but yes, Saturday.
Okay, Saturday, and then there's no C++ on Saturday, right?
People get to enjoy their lives.
Except you.
Except me, yeah, of course. I have other stuff to do. 1 to 6 p.m., but that's beside the point. Are we getting kind of get the idea? Give it some small number. While it's less than 1,000, print it out and then double it.
I made a new CVV file, a main.cvv file in the folder, but then like when I change something in one of the main CVV files, it changes it in all
All the others.
Because I made 2 new main.cvv files in this folder.
Yeah. Don't make a new main CPP. Make a new file. Name it something else, like homework and like a date.
Oh.
Paste the code in there, so you only have one main.cpp and it's empty. That would be my recommendation if you want to be quick about this. Quick and dirty. And then try to go for this really quick.
What's like the operator for
Multiply.
times and give it back?
Multiply and then equals.
That's asterisk, right?
Yeah, like I said, the plus, you can also do plus equals if it's more than just 1. And then that's where you can get multiply equals. When you guys are getting, I guess you can like raise your hand or something and I'll come over, check it out. Judge you quietly or loudly. Probably quietly. Did you get it working with pasting the code somewhere else?
It doesn't let me like name it differently.
So when you rename files, you can right click on them and rename them. Can you not here? That's kind of unfortunate. So go to editor. No. Yeah, I'm just gonna say just keep going across these liquid and see if there's a. No.
They I can like duplicate it or maybe
Yeah, maybe.
should I try?
Yeah. Oh, well, I guess you have a lot of files. I recommend closing all your projects as well. Just because you're getting a little yes. You got it?
No, I have just one syntax.
Oh, you have to put in a number as well.
Oh.
You want to do it by? Oh, so okay. So when I say plus plus minus minus, that's only by 1. So if you want to multiply by some number, like x equals x times 2, it's x times equals 2. Or if you want to multiply by 36, it's x times equals 36. You don't have to use that, by the way, if you don't want to. You actually never really have to use it. It's just shorthand. It helps you write code a little bit faster. It's just what I'm going to use notation wise because it's faster and convenient. So remember the instructions. Take a number. While the number is less than 1,000, double it and print it out. So I'm gonna steal my IDE and write.
Yeah, I got it to work.
Okay, I'll. Oops. Cool. Perfect. Looks good. Also change the number. I'll have some fun with it for a sec. Everyone else kind of working on it, thinking about it, struggling still? No, maybe, kind of. Yeah, hard, too hard still. Kind of figuring it out. This isn't going to be that many lines of code, by the way. It's going to be like 4. Well, 6 with braces. You good? No? Keep dancing. Okay, I'm gonna get like a couple more. Okay, I'll give it like 30 more seconds, okay? You're thinking about it? And then we're going to do one for loop and possibly call it there. For once we'll end on time. 10 seconds. Furiously type yes.
It still says it has like in my use declaration function.
Oh, and then the file will also be named main.cpp. Alright, you have to run a main function in a file called main. Okay. Did you get the pasting code working, by the way? Changing file names?
Not really, it like crashed and then I had to do it.
Beautiful, beautiful Xcode. Okay.
I'll just delete it then. Or
Yeah.
delete the one I
You can delete all your homework each time. Like I said, if it works, the important part is getting it working. Or if you're having trouble or don't know why it doesn't work, then you want to email me. Then I can go over it, discuss with you or in front of everyone else, I guess, why there might have been a problem or what there is. Because this guy became a small class, so like if you like have questions or problems, like feel free to stop and we'll talk about them. In the meantime, I'm gonna show up my answer real quick. Just for the record, we're gonna do a bunch of these. I like this format a little bit better. I think it's not that fun for me to talk all the time and you not to write any code. Kind of defeats the point of C++ programming. It's more C++ listening to the lecture to class. So here's my one with the while loop. I made J5 to start. Then I said while J is less than 1,000, print out J, multiply it by 2. Okay? That was each of all the instructions. It's 7 to 13. 6 lines. Just nailed it. Right on the dot.
So I'm still a bit confused about line 10. What is happening? Like, is it printing?
It's printing the number and a space.
Okay. So that's why it's like the empty print, the empty quotations.
Yeah. You can also do this if you want to see it. It's just for me to read it. Here. Would this help? I just said end line and then ran it. Now it'll print everything on its own line each time. But we'll get the same numbers. Okay? You can just use end line. That's fine too. Because if you don't put an end line or a space, it'll print what looks like one large number. Because it'll print the number 5, then right next to it'll print the number 10. But it looks like 510. So that's why I put it. It's just a way to determine what one number is different from the other. So I'm using currently spaces because my terminal, you guys can read, you can read a lot more that way than down. So that's why I'm using space for now. You don't really have to do that. The important part is kind of getting how the loop works. That's what the important part is. So we're going to do really quick. We got a couple more minutes. If for everyone who's code, hopefully we're not having trouble writing code still. We're going to we're going to do for loop. A couple of for loops. So with the for loop, we're going to do a similar problem. Let's do let's do the for loop. Let's do the same kind of thing again. Give it a big number this time. Start with a big number. Make your for loop every time it runs through. Keep dividing by 2 each time. Okay. Start with a number like 1,000, and then each time through the loop, divide by 2, and then obviously print it. This time with a for loop though. Okay. So. Here, I'll give you the print line just so it's less complicated. Okay, you can use this as your print line. The important part is to get what you're putting in these 3 boxes. So remember, give it a large number, and then you want to check the condition. You want it to be greater than 0, and then while it's greater than 0, divide it by 2 and print it out each time. Okay. And then I guess when you got it, raise your hand or something to reiterate. Give it a big number. Check it. You want to see if while it's greater than 0, divide it by 2 each time and print it out. Got it?
Oh, yeah.
Give it a big number, divide it by 2 each time. Double check it's greater than 0.
Oh. Oh, you caught it.
Got it?
Yeah.
Put in 1,000.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Oh. I will appear in the concert.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Everyone else thinking, struggling? Really prefer not fiddling with some file structure thing or anything at the moment. If you can write and run code, please. Yes.
Oh yeah. Wait, did you want us to have like input a number and keep it denominated? Or
You don't go to input. I'm saying this was going to be really basic. Just fill in these numbers basically.
Oh, okay.
You give it a large number. My example would be 1,000. You can put in 10,000 if you want. Doesn't really matter. I want you to keep dividing it by 2 until it reaches 0.
When it gets to like when it gets to 125 and then goes to 62, it's at the decimal.
Yeah, that's fine. Again, 0. That's why. So that whenever it becomes less than 1, it'll just say it's 0, and the loop will end. So same. Anyone else good? Thinking about it still? Sneak in. We got a couple more minutes. No? Struggling? Confused, screaming?
What games do you play?
I play a game called Block on Everspace right now. It's like I play a lot of sci-fi games, it's probably like to start RPGs sometimes as well, and some shooters.
What about Cyberpunk 2077?
I'm excited.
Same.
Yes, got it?
No, I read it and then it like in the console it's showing something that's not even in the
Do you have multiple projects open? So right now it's running the code from your three numbers. So you can either put your code in, you can either put that code, the code that you're running for this part, in that file, or if you want to, which I would probably recommend, I would say you don't have to keep a lot of this code. I'm not gonna, there's not really like a test in this class that I have made yet at least. The code would mainly be for reference. You can keep it in a text file if you want. That would probably be the easiest way. I would probably avoid creating lots of projects and things like that, because it just gets a little bit complicated. But we're running out of time. You
How
got
do
it?
you make the process finish if they make code?
Process?
The
Mine always ends it on a new line. Are you getting all the numbers like smashed together, or just it does that and then say process finish at one?
Yeah.
You could do a new line at the very end of your file.
like after.
So yeah, like outside the loop,
Okay.
you can do end line, C out end line.
Oh, see, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
think I missed an operation because I just wrote it and it just prints 1,000, so I think I messed up.
Print 1,000 forever.
No, it just prints out 1,000.
Just prints out 1,000. So you want to give it some big number 1,000, and you want to say while it's greater than 0. That's what you're looking for. And that's what you have?
Yeah.
What's your
I just wrote I divided by 2.
divided by equals, or just divided by 2?
Oh, just by 2.
You want to make sure to apply it to I as well. You want to change I. So I divided by equals 2. Or if you want, just extend it out as well. I equals I divided by 2. That's fine too. Yes. Got it?
Wait, the see out and line is
Either.
yeah. Well, how many did I do?
Oh yeah. You want C out and the extraction. They're the starting insertion operator. You want to insert that line here.
That one?
Yeah. Make sure you get it.
Oh.
And it looks like it's working too. Good job. Okay, I'm gonna fill this in because we're running out of time, and I said we would end early, and I totally lied because we didn't.
Wait, class ends at 9:30.
Oh, it does? Oh yeah, you're right. Ooh, we do have time. Okay, cool. I'm sorry. I'm on a whole different schedule today. So I'm gonna fill in mine though. So I'm gonna say I said I was. Whoops. I'm gonna say I is less than 1,000. Well, I is greater than 0. I divided by equals 2. I'm gonna print out I each time. And we're gonna get it going down. I talked about integer division, right? That drops a decimal. I talked about that at some point. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it just drops a decimal each time. So that's why you get 62, 31. Then you get 15 from 31, and why it stops at 1 because it does 1 divided by 2 equals 0 in the integer numbers. Yes.
I have the same thing, but it's still only prints 1,000.
The exact same code. You have a return state. Okay. Okay, remove the return, by the way. So what it does is you have a return. Okay, so at the bottom, so it's called int main void because it wants a return. You don't actually have to provide one. I'd recommend. So what happens is, so return leaves the current function you're in. You're currently in the main function, so you return out of the main function, which gives it back to the end of the program, basically. I mean, the main ends your program. So it just returns out until it's done. So now delete that line and run. You should be good to go. Yeah, we haven't gotten function returns yet.
Okay, that works.
Yeah, you're good to go. Everyone got it then? They're feeling better on the for loops now? Because we're gonna do one more for loop as soon as I think of a good one. Okay. I know. Okay, ready for another one? You guys all got that one working? Good to go? We're gonna do one more for for loops. So, we're gonna start give I a value of 0. I recommend, by the way, delete your entire for loop, just so you can make the whole thing again, okay? Delete the whole for loop, just so we're not typing the whole thing again, okay? I want some level of practice. Okay, so start with, let's create a for loop. We're gonna give I a starting value of 0. And what I want is every multiple of 5 to be printed. And there's 2 ways to do this. So if you figure out one, I'll say figure out the other. So think about that. So for example, you'll print out, I will start at 0, so you'll print out 0, then print out 5, then print out 10, then print out 15. You can do it up to 100, so the numbers don't get too ridiculous.
I thought you meant like if you gave a number like 6, then it'd be like 6 and 5, 6 and 10.
Oh, no. Yeah, print out every multiple of 5. We're going to start at 0, and we're going to go up to 100, okay? You don't have to include 100. Actually, no, wait, do include 100. So include multiples of 5 up to 100, including 100 itself, and 0 on itself. But mainly focus on the multiples of 5. Boundary errors are less problematic.
Wait, so you wanted us to print all the multiples of 5?
Between two numbers. I gave 0 and 1,000 was my example. You can really pick any boundaries. It doesn't change that much, right? 0 and 1,000 just for reference. Or 0 and 100 actually. Sorry, I changed it. 0 and 100. Every multiple of 5. There's 2 different ways to do this. If you have one, I'm going to tell you to find the other, just so you know.
5
You got one? Okay. Let's see this. Looks good. Include 100 too.
okay.
Yeah, just include 100 as well. Does yours include 100, or does it print up to 95?
I just made it like I is less than 1,000.
Okay.
5.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, of course too.
Is it? Do you just do it less than equal?
Yeah, you can do 100 as well. Yeah, and that'll work too. Yes.
And then the other way.
Okay, so there's one other way. One other way to do it. I'll give you a hint. It's an operator you've already learned, when you don't use it often. Okay? Think about it. Think you got it?
Yeah.
With the other one?
Oh wait,
I mean, that's still using plus equals for each time though. I want to use a different operator entirely. So right now you're doing the way you're looking for it is you're saying this one. Here, I'll give you a hint. This one uses an if statement as well.
Oh.
Okay. Or I'll just say this. Yeah, because I've taught this operator before. Think about it. For a number like 80, how do you know it's a multiple of 5?
Just divide them.
So divided by 5, and that gives 80 divided by 5 gives you 29. 80 divided by 5 is 16. So again, think about this one. This is 2 different ways to solve the same problem. And I'm gonna. Has anyone not gotten one? How to print out all the multiples of 5? Still thinking? Anyone? People who haven't got one? Getting there? Close? Oh. Maybe. Let's do.
Oh.
People getting close? One with one way?
I think I'm about to.
Got the other way?
You got it. Wait, I get
You got
this,
one person. You got the second one?
no, I get this error.
Okay. You know what? ICQ. Oh, you have it. So you're doing just if I divided by 5. What it's checking right now is it just does the math and then says is it's done for one. So you want to be careful. You want if I divided by 5 is something. You want to check because that's not like you can need like it's always going to evaluate to true basically because it says do I divided by 5. It says don't. You want to be you kind of want to usually want to compare it with something equals. Is it equivalent to this? And then they cannot output file. And maybe scroll up real quick. Scroll down then. I'm not sure.
I think it's just,
Yeah, you may want to fix that.
okay.
We got one person. Anyone else you guys not gotten one yet on this?
I'm pretty stuck.
Pretty stuck? Well, ignore this. This is the other. This is a hint to the second one. So you're looking to print out. So I start from 0. I'll give you this one. Start from 0 and print up to 100.
Okay.
So here's one for the people who figured out the other one. I guess one person. Try printing out the numbers starting from 7 as well now. That is on the second answer. Print out the numbers. Start I at 7. Print out the numbers. Then try your first one and then try printing out the numbers from 7 and see what happens.
So 7 multiples of plus multiples of 5? So
Uh,
7, 12.
Print out the multiples of 5 starting at 7. So the first multiple of 5 that'll come is 10.
Oh,
Try that on the second one, then try it on the first one. Or try it on the first and then the second, your choice. Try running that on both though, and see the difference. Are you still figuring out the starting from 0? So each time, zero, I said you want to print out 0, you want to print out 100. So each time I'm starting from 0, I need to print out the first multiple of 5, that would be 5. Next multiple of 5 is 10, next multiple of 5 is 15. So I'm starting at 0 each time I'm jumping 5. That's kind of a hint to the first one. So every time through the loop, I want to go from 5 up from the last one.
so the first way it does 7, 12, and yeah,
And the second way,
it's still the same.
it's correct. Yeah. So it'll skip 5, but yeah, and 0. But it'll print 10, 15.
Yeah.
Yep. Just some interesting, which was a little bit more foolproof. The second one's technically a little bit better, just for the record. But the first one's the better way to start if you're going to be programming. Like you wouldn't know until you think about it for a little bit how to make it a little bit more foolproof. You can actually also do it. You can also do it counting down. So I can start my number at 100, go to 0, and still print out the numbers in increasing order.
Really?
Yeah. There's another couple ways to do this.
Does that require an operator?
It requires a function, yeah.
Oh.
But if you remind me, I might show up. Actually, I'll do it now. Why not? This is kind of an interesting little reverse wall. People who have not gotten at least one, please keep working though. I'm gonna really quickly write this on the side, just for the fun of it. So Too close, kind of? Sorry, I got sidetracked. Close, not really. Still struggling. So, so you want to start from 0. You want to go up to 100, and then each time I'll look at that part. But you want to start from 100. You're starting at 0. You're looking every time through the loop. You print out 0 the first time. You print out 5 the next time. Each time you increment by 5. So then you want to probably print out the number each time through it. Probably add 5. So how does that fit into your for loop? And then where? Remember, it's 4. You got that first part starting. You want to start at 0, giving you that. And then I said, while the number is less than 100, so I'm giving you that part, you want to print out a multiple of 5. So 0 is 1, 5 is 1, 10 is 1. Each time print out that, probably add 5 to each time.
So then what did you just do with I divided by 5?
You're starting from 0 and going up to 100. So you probably want to not divide. close. Kind of. Still struggling.
Same binary.
Same binary. Wait, binary not found is builder project, generally.
Yeah, I tried doing that.
Then you've gotten code run before, right? So is it you have one project open as well, just to confirm? Because you had a
Yeah, same.
oh you have a whole bunch of errors. Oh wait, so bad inclusion. That means your GCC isn't working. That's the double checking your path is up to date.
Oh,
You said it was a user variable, not an environment variable, I believe,
Yeah.
from before, which would be my bad. I'm sorry. I don't remember all of that off the top of my head. I'm sorry. Okay, so we're almost running out of time. I'm almost ready to give you the reverse one, the fun one. I'll have to get back to you because we're running out of time. So here is here's 2, 1, and then I'm gonna add the second one in a moment. So here's our first one. Start at 0, go up to 100, add 5 each time. Print it out. That'll give you 5, 10, 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So that gives you every multiple of 5. This next one, I left intentionally blank. So what you can do is this. And you'll get the same results. Here, I'll space them out real quick.
But it's not like much easier to do it the other way.
The bottom one?
No, the one where you add 5.
Yeah, the bottom one. Where you add 5 each time?
Like, what's the error you get? Like, what's the benefit of having the
Mm.
remaining error?
So conveniently, I start on a multiple of 5. So here's my example. I start on 2. Remember, I asked for the multiples of 5. This gives me now 2, 7, 12, 17, and none of these are multiples of 5. However, if I do the same thing, let's make this 3. I'm still going to get all the multiples of 5. It's still correct. So the modulus confirms that it will be it was convenient because we started on a multiple of 5. The reason modulus is more correct is because if we started on something that isn't 5, I'll still get the right answer. So that's right. Because for it to be a multiple of 5, it will have to be divisible directly by 5. So that means that I'll have a remainder to 0. So that's why the modulus will work for that, and it's a little bit brighter. But this is okay because I wanted it to be easier. I want you guys to start to just understand it. So what was not clear about the for loop?
Oh, I messed up on the syntax, and then for my for loop, I forgot inside enclose.
Okay. All right. So I guess that will call it for today, since we're definitely running out of time. Let's see. We got while loops, for loops. Next time we will cover. Oh, we'll cover functions all the way. We'll start on that next time. Actually, okay, I'd recommend practicing up on the for and while loops. You can kind of think up your own problems. It's important to just kind of write the code and think about it. I don't really have any homework planned that I want to give. I don't want to give homework that I don't really know if it'll be good or not, so I'm not too interested in doing that.
When are you going to assign the project?
It'll probably be Tuesday. And again, you're going to get like a week or 2 to do it. It's not going to be like sad. I promise it'll be.
Like, what would it be like creating?
It'll be using for loops. So that's what I'm saying. You want to study up. It's going to be a lot of for
I'm
loops.
going to do Visual C++.
What? Official C++?
No, Visual.
Visual. Oh. No. You're talking about the.
Like an interface.
Yeah, no, we're not going to cover that. That's a little bit too advanced. Sorry.
Do you personally know how to do it?
A little, yeah. I mainly do my interface stuff in Java, though. And obviously Android, that's also kind of Java. So. But yeah, we can call it there. Like I said, you probably want to practice up on, whoops, while loops. I'm going to intro the functions next time. This is going to be
Okay, so I won't